listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Guess what, guys? We have an old friend on the show today. I'll get to that in a minute. For those of you listening, thank you for listening. Please go ahead and check us out at IREpodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook /IRE Podcast if you want to see us live. Please go to any podcast app. And if you would be so kind, smash that like button and follow us. I'm getting good at that.
Yeah. It's not YouTube. I don't know if that's exactly how it works or not.
We're on YouTube, bro. We're on YouTube. Smash that like button. Boom. Boom.
And ding the bell so you get notifications.
Yeah, ring the bell. So exactly. Yeah.
That's what the kids say these days.
Right. So today is a special day for a lot of reasons. We're inaugurating Mr. Joseph R. Biden Jr. into the Oval Office. And as such, for some reason, every time there's a political event, we get someone really special on the show, like Tony Raffin. Tony Raffin, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Today's my mother's birthday, okay? So don't ruin it with the inauguration. We'll stay family on this one.
Did you script that? Did you wait? Did you have that written down and were like, I'm going to say that?
No, I just knew. When you started talking politics, it's like, oh, shit.
I started talking about it's inauguration, and there's no politics. It's
okay.
It's facts. What's happening? How are you, sir? Welcome back to the show. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about, you're like the foreclosure guru. I want to talk to you about what you see coming down in 21. I want to talk to you about like how you're going to handle your business in 21. And then also I want to talk about just how good you look. You look fantastic.
I'm pale as a ghost, no vacations. But it's going to be a good year. Last year was weird. Last year was a different type of a year. We're going in a few different directions. I don't know if you guys remember, I got in a bad car accident a couple of years ago, so it kind of screwed me up.
I do remember that, yeah.
Therapy. I just had shoulder surgery. This whole side of my shoulders, I had a torn bicep tendon, rotator cuff, and then a arthritic bone spur. And boy, it was like
really put you down. Yeah.
We're like 80 days in right now, and I can barely.
No way, dude.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing.
Everybody I talked to, something really screwed up happened in 21. 20. Like 20 was just a really crazy. Are you looking forward to 2021?
Oh, it's already fantastic. Even just waking up today and it's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. Here's a deal. I guess as far as the foreclosures are concerned, I'm just concerned with the incoming administration delaying foreclosures. This is what they did when Obama got into office. 2009 was like our busiest year. We sold 1,000 homes in 2009. And then Obama got into office and he's like, freeze. It's like, what? They didn't pay for their house. It wasn't COVID. I get it for COVID. I get it. Okay. You're out of work. Things happen.
Yeah.
But come on, guys. You didn't pay for your house. You don't get to stay. But there were people who stayed 3 and 4 years. So the trickle-down effect, I think, is going to actually come into play. I've talked to a lot of realtors, and which you guys probably do, and I don't know what you guys really think, but I don't believe there's a bloodbath coming. I believe that interest rates, they're going to keep interest rates low. If they don't, we will be screwed because that's inflation. Lower interest rate, higher house price, it really doesn't matter. The payment's the same or less, especially now. What are we at? 2.75, 2.625 for a 30-year fixed?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because we had Barry Habib and Sal and Brad. We talked about this, that they were talking about affordability issues, but because the rates are so low, it's kind of mitigating a lot of that, right? Sal, Sal, at the beginning of this, we've seen we had our busiest month in December, and we're busy as shit right now, and it's interesting. Like the spring selling season, Sal, has started. I think.
Oh, it started.
Yeah, it's. I think. In everyone's head, especially with, the new administration coming in, I think people like the general sentiment is that rates are still going to go up, not as drastically as I think everyone thinks, but that now probably is the time to get the lowest rates, and we all could be wrong with that projection, right? But it's probably, I think in the back of everyone that I talk to, they're saying, well, I hear that rates are going to go up, so I think that everyone's trying to get on that bandwagon. I don't think they're going to go to up a point, but I do think that, we might be back to like 3%, which is still awesome.
Right.
30-year fix. Come on.
But
think about what we're talking about. Think about what we're talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like
yeah,
a
but
pit
then you
bull on a
talk to a-
weightlifter's ass. Come on.
You talk to a client about it and they're like, oh, that's high rate.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
jaded. Clients are
Yeah.
jaded.
But it doesn't really matter what we say and what we think. It's what the clients think, right? If they want to move, they're going to do it. And if they think that, that rates are going to go up, it might spark a rush to get out there and do it, right? Because, on the other side of things, like, what do you think is going to happen with home values? I mean, again, just like the rates, they're probably going to stay pretty high, right? But
Demand is going to be high and supply is still going to be low. Don't you think, Tony?
Demand is extremely high. I guess, how do you put it? We just had somebody was going to sell their house and he evicted the people, finally got the people out. And some guy walks by and said, I just sold my house down the street. He goes, and I can't find a house to live in. I got to move out real quick. He goes, can I rent your house? And he was going to sell it. And he's like, I don't want to rent it. I'm selling it. He goes, well, I don't want to live in the same street, but I need a place to live for, until I can find a house. And the guy's like, look, I'll give you 6 months cash in advance rent plus $400 more than you're asking a month. The guy's like, what am I supposed to do? Say no? Let him move in.
Right.
So he let him move in. So I lost the listing, but the guy got a rental to go in. But I mean, I don't know, man. If it's right, if the house is right and it's priced right, it's disappearing within a couple days. But I wonder about the agents that, take an offer within 24 hours. Oh, I sold it, and it's like, did you do the client justice?
If it sells within 24 hours, okay, that's a great question, Tony. So you're saying that potentially, if an agent puts a house on the market, sells in 24 hours, multiple offers, sells over ask, are you saying that potentially that house was priced too low, or do you price it low on purpose because you want the traffic and you want?
I would never price it low on purpose. I would price it at market value. I mean, it's a fact that if you're 15% over market value, you got a 30% chance of selling the house. If you're 10% over market value, you have a 50% chance of selling the house. If you're 5% over market value, you have a 70% chance of selling the house. And if you're at market value, you're going to sell the house. 3 things sell a house: price, condition, exposure. 3 things. You're missing one of them, you got a problem. So if the house is priced right and it's in bad condition, but nobody knows about it, okay?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the problem is not all agents are on top of it and are jumping quickly. So if they're not jumping quickly, your agent may not get you the house in time. And sometimes it just happens like that. So I think you really need, some of these banks that I deal with, they're like, we're leaving the house on the market for 10 days. Make your offer. We're not looking at them for 10 days. I mean, if your house is right, you're going to get the strong buyers, and they're going to, it's going to bring the strong out, because it doesn't mean that the first person coming in at cash is going to do it. We just had a listing of foreclosure in Farmington Hills on a condo. We listed it for $128. We had 8 or 9 offers, like literally within the first 3 days. The bank took their time responding. Then they came back at highest and best. We sold it for $145 cash, owner occupied, and it needed a full rehab.
Crazy.
It was only worth $175, $180 when it was done.
Right.
So you're going to put $25,000 into it. It's like somebody wanted to live in that area. So instead of taking that first offer at $128 full price, the bank waited. That's what they do. And then people get mad at me, and it's like, this is their tactic. It's their ball field. It's their rules. You can't play by our rules. Yeah, let's hurry up and take the offer at $128. Hell, I'd have bought it myself for $128.
Sal, are you seeing a lot of multiple offers right now, dude? You know what I mean? Yeah,
well, for sure. But I mean, at a point, like, the offers, like it's funny, sometimes these clients are like, well, I'll go over, $30,000 or whatever. And I'm like, are you going to guarantee any of the appraisal?
Right. No.
Well, then
what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Right. I mean,
yeah.
At a point you gotta, like, I think as an agent, right? Like, hey, like if you're not even coming in with an appraisal waiver, like don't even try. we've already got 15 offers, going 10, 15 over ask. Like, it's at a point, I think it's kind of ridiculous, but to Tony's point, you never know, right? I mean, selling in 24 hours instead of 36 or I'm sorry, 72 hours, and making sure you have a full spread of offers that you can comb through and find the best one, as opposed to taking the first one. I think it's always smart. It's like going and buying a car, right? A used car. You can go just hop on the first one you see. It might be the best one,
right?
You probably do your homework.
I think economic conditions are not always the way we look at it. Certain economic conditions you cannot put a value on. And I'll give you an example. We just bought a duplex for my parents. My parents live 35, 40 minutes away from us. Okay. And now they're going to be about 10 houses away from us. We paid $15,000 over appraised value. Didn't even care. Didn't matter. We even had to fix the house. Didn't matter. Didn't care. That economic value of having my parents right here.
Everybody has it. Yeah. Everybody has reasons, dude. Right. To your point.
Right.
But
Okay. But not everyone has ability. And I think that's when going through offers, right? It's like, all right, guy's putting, minimum down. He's going to go 15 over. What the hell happens when the appraisal comes in low?
Then they don't have the means. They don't have the means.
Right.
Right.
So I have a question for you, Tony. And I know you're not like a real estate lawyer or anything, but I'm sure you've seen.
I have a curriculum vitae, Brad. It's about 3 pages long, and I do testify in court for attorneys. So
I love it. So,
I'd want you testifying for me, man.
I'm definitely interested in what you would do or what the ramifications are in this situation. So I have a client right now that, with the high demand, they had multiple offers on selling their house, and they're buying a new house contingent on the sale of their house, right?
Uh-huh.
So the offer they ended up taking was written as non-contingent. And turns out he was never approved, or the buyers were never approved for non-contingent. And now the deal's falling apart, and the guy doesn't want to give up EMD or do anything. He just wants to back out of the deal.
Shame on the agent.
What are the ramifications in that situation? That's kind of shady, but is there anything they can do? What happens in that situation?
Did they sign the contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're done. They signed a contract that said they were going to do a non-contingent offer.
But how do they prove that it really was, like, they can't get any information from the guy's lender to show that he's approved because it was
First of all, the guy's lender is going to write him a letter, not approved. Done. That's pretty much it. It's an agent's fault for taking the deal and not having it, not checking the paperwork. Because it's amazing, the agents that fill out paperwork for us. And the weird part about it is they don't even read the contracts that they're signing. I got the closing today on that one for 145, and we don't even go to the closing because it's a bank owned. So this guy's like, well, what's this fee? It's like, dude, you signed this paperwork a month ago. Don't you read what you have your client sign?
No, they don't. Nobody reads it.
But Brad, you got to understand something. Very rarely does a judge take an EMD from a buyer. Very rarely. I mean, I've seen it. I've never seen a judge take it. I've seen a buyer give it up 2 times in my career. I've sold over 7,000 homes. They don't take them.
It's a rarity. It's a
rarity. We just had one, literally, not my client, a friend of mine's son, first-time home buyer, goes to buy a house with another agent, and the guy needs to do some work. So he says, well, can you get this done and this done? So the guy says, yeah, I'll get this done and this done. Well, in the meantime, the buyer's agent doesn't do his homework. And if you read the seller's disclosure says no work was performed without permits or licensed contractors. The guy redid the kitchen, 2 bathrooms, the crawl space, the electrical, the gas lines. It was completely redone, literally driveway, no permits, not 1 permit. The seller was a real estate agent. So he gave the big staffungia, it's Italian for have a nice day. He gave the big staffungia to the guy and said, screw you. Well, the buyer's like, I'm not buying the house. You lied on the seller's disclosure. The Seller's Disclosure Act says I could cancel at any time. So he goes, the guy takes him to small claims court, threatens him with attorneys, but he takes him to small claims court, goes into small claims court, which this is probably going to be another piece of information that you're gonna want to know about. The judge was a magistrate, not a judge. So the magistrate says, you're right, you can back out at any time, but we're taking your deposit. So it's like, wait a second, here's a first-time home buyer. You're taking advantage of the guy. You lied on the seller's disclosure statement. And by lying on the seller's disclosure statement, you are going to profit from your indiscretions. So we didn't know it. And the clerk called us back, and the clerk said, you can appeal this within 5 days. So the guy's like, I don't want to deal with it no more. I'm just tired. I don't care. Take my $2,000. It's like, what? And I'm like, what is that commercial? Shingle says, what? So it's like, I says, that's not going to happen. I'm your advocate. At the end of the day, I'm your advocate. So I went to bat. I put a whole program together for him. I gave him bullet points. We spoke with an attorney who gave us a couple of little extra tidbits. We wrote it down. We went back. We appealed it. And the judge is like, you're not making a profit off of a kid who you tried to deceive. Gave him the earnest money deposit back. Shame on the agent for trying to do that. Okay. So if you go into the right areas, I do not believe there's a judge that's going to take your deposit back. This is most likely a problem with the agent. It's not going to be covered under errors and omissions because they usually have a $5,000 deductible, but it's an agent mistake. The agent should have not allowed that to happen. Whether it was and I wouldn't say it was the buyer's agent. It was the buyer's agent for not putting it on there. Maybe he wanted to fool the people, but it was the seller's agent for taking the offer and not paying attention to the details. These are very, very important details.
Yeah, what people don't understand sometimes is a purchase agreement is a legal contract.
Correct.
And you could put anything in there. You could put, I want all the windows to be open on the day of closing, and I don't want them closed at all. And they have to. I mean, that's part of the contract, and that's part of why people need a real estate agent, because they don't know how to read a purchase agreement.
I think it's funny when you have a deal that's contingent, right? And if they get another offer, they got 72 hours or whatever to show proof of their sale or whatever it is, right? And
yeah,
I've had a few over the holidays where they were FSBOs, right? So the seller had these deals that they were selling their house, and if they get another offer, and they got these higher offers that came in, but my client had already sold, and they thought that they could still sell the house to someone else, right? And we're sitting there like, no. Like, as soon as that house went under contract, we got 30 days to close it, and these people are trying to pull the deal out from under them, threatening, suing, and it's like, you don't even have an agent. You don't even know what you signed. No, right. I don't know if anyone ever explained this to you, but like, you're stuck selling this house at a lower price, and to be honest, probably wouldn't appraise for what the other person sent you anyway. So, I think having a good agent to explain the details of, contract, not necessarily the ins and outs of contract law, but the ins and outs of this contract that is bound by law, right? To whether it's the buyer, the seller, or anyone who's interested in knowing, is incredibly important, because so often it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I want to buy this because of, the water. I did a water test after inspection and it was all screwed up. Well, dude, you had 10 days to do that.
Right.
Not 12.
But just know that on a seller's disclosure statement, because we learned this the good way, that if they lie in a seller's disclosure statement, they can back out at any time prior to the closing without ramifications if the seller lies. So I always tell my sellers, tell the truth. Well, the basement leaks. Tell the truth. Yeah. If you tell the truth,
you're going to get found out.
The truth will set you free. People just
Amen. That was Monday.
How about people buying houses with waiving inspections right now?
I did. I bought the duplex, waived the inspection.
Well, but your shit, Tony.
Yeah.
It's different.
No, listen. I'm not a licensed builder, but I've built a few homes. There's certain things you look at, and we didn't even open the garage. We didn't even open the garage, and then we went in the garage, and we're like, "Oh shit!" We got everything with electrical cords. We probably got another $30,000 invested. But if you guys know how to do, how do you want to call it? I'm going to call it underwriting. You want to underwrite a property? You can put some numbers together, and this is really cool, man. You guys got to really underwrite a deal prior as an agent. So people, especially for an investment property. So we take this property. It's a 2-family, collects $2,400 a month in rent each side. even though my parents are going to live in one side, let's imagine that's what we're going to get, because that's what we're getting, because we've already got the other side.
That's the cash flow. That's the cash flow.
So we got $2,400. Let's figure 50% costs. Okay, 50% costs on this, for payment, taxes, insurance. Okay, and whatever maintenance needs to be needed is going to be about $1,200 a month, which leaves you. Let me get my calculator out, because this is a fun little project here. $1,200 a month times 12 months is $14,400. Now imagine a 6% return, which is a fair rate of return. You could go higher, but let's imagine a 6% return divided by 6% brings you a value of $240,000. Now, mind you, we paid $15,000 over appraised value. It appraised at $210,000. The house is still worth $240,000,
right?
Based on a 6% annual return, and we're not counting appreciation. So it's a real simple formula of buying an investment home, which basically, you guys know, my specialty is distressed, whether it's bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sale, divorce, probate. These distressed properties have to put a value on them some way, shape, or form. If it's owner-occupied, it almost doesn't even matter if you pay too much, because with interest rates so low, who cares?
So your formula says if you paid $250,000, that's when anything over that, this property is not worth buying.
Basically, yeah.
But if you bought it for $200,000, you'd still be in the money. Still be in the money, even with the repairs. Now, mind you, the repairs we're doing were just to please my parents. Put an upstairs laundry room in, redo the kitchen. We didn't have to do that. We could have still got $1,200 each side. And that means I bought a property for $225,000 that's still worth $240,000. But how the appraisers get their numbers is not an actual cash value. You need to look at the cash flow, because cash flow is king, not cash flow. Right. I mean, that's what's funny about appraising, right? They're always looking back, and they might have a small adjustment for, upward trends, but it's like the only people moving the sticks per se, right, on the field when it comes to appraised value are people guaranteeing over, or cash buyers, And mind you, sometimes cash buyers get it cheaper than what they could have if someone had done a mortgage and guaranteed over, blah blah blah. But in a bank or a lending institution situation, they will always look at a cash buyer over a finance buyer. But if the finance buyer comes in strong, over 20% down, without appraisal guarantees and no repairs, they might wait the extra time, but they prefer the cash. And if the cash is close, they don't even hesitate. Let's do it. And the problem is, you figure you're going to get a quick close, and they still take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Sorry, we didn't get a deed. I mean, the way I look at it, it's almost like you're putting a deposit down, and you bought that home in layaway. Wait for him to take care of it. As long as you set the funds aside and you're ready to close, you're ready to go. But to finance these deals, it makes it a little bit more difficult, because when you're financing, you want a certain close on date, and then the bank's like, well, we don't have a deed yet. Well, when's the deed coming? I mean, I sold a house. We listed a house in Detroit in October. It was $13,500. We sold it for $26,000. Mind you, no furnace, no water heater, a stripped down house. And we took 60 days to get a deed. And the buyer's going nuts. And it's like, well, I mean, you don't have to buy it, back out. There's 30 other deals that are waiting to go. Oh, no. I'll take it. So the situation is different every time, but the demand to have a decent home, or the home where you want, I think far outweighs the value, what you're paying for. I've got a few clients right now who have the means to buy, let's say, a $250,000 cash, whether it's themselves or different parents or whatever, right? And they're offering cash with an option for a mortgage, right? If this mortgage isn't done in 2.5, 3 weeks, we will close cash. Like, never saw one of those, but it's a great idea. It's interesting, right? So that puts huge pressure on us to make sure we get everything done right away, which, mind you, I don't know what the hell happened at our lenders. It was, when they must have just hired a ton, but it went from 3-4 days in underwriting now to a couple hours. So, I mean, right now we have the ability to do that, which is great. UWM? But, yeah. UWM. Public. Yep. Kind of, right? Yeah. The SPAC deal. But, I think you got to get super, super, super fucking creative right now. You got to think of ways like that, right? Like, man, I don't want to shell out 250 grand, and it's like there's a 95% chance you won't have to, but if you really want this house, you might gotta do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what says you're a stronger buyer than, hey, if we don't have the mortgage ready, we'll stroke a check.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you say, Tony, to the people that say, in a market like this, there is an argument to say, I'm going to just list my house myself because it's so hot that if I put a sign in my yard, I mean, that's all the listing agent's going to do anyway. So why would I pay the listing agent? Why don't I just put it in my yard?
Well, then you're going to have to deal with everything yourself, and you can't put an analytical thought to it. For us, it's not just a transaction. It's a process. Okay. It is a process. And for me to expose it to the right people, and it's not putting it on Zillow and okay, it's on Zillow. Really? I mean, okay, what are you going to do when it's time to negotiate? You got feelings involved. You can't put your feelings involved in a transaction. You have to stand back. And
you nailed it there, by the way. That's the thing, right? People need representation. I always say this. You wouldn't go to court and try to represent yourself in the largest trial of your life. Well, how about the largest transaction for most people is their house? And if you don't have proper representation, stuff like what Sal said, Brad talked about, those things can really happen if you don't have proper representation. If you are a buyer and there's no you have to have an agent for sure if you're a buyer. But if you're listing, there are benefits to listing a house with an agent because they know the market, they know what to do, they know the process. It isn't buying a candy bar at the store. You don't walk up to the register, ring up the house, and walk out. Buying a house has many steps that we try to minimize on the mortgage side, on the paperwork side. But ultimately, it's a pretty complicated process. Would you not agree, Tony?
It's a very complicated process, but if you do it every day, you do it blindly.
Yeah.
The process is in place. You know how to do it. I've done it thousands of times, so I don't think twice about the process. My whole thing is not about the process. My whole thing is about the customer. Once again, we go back to the original sin. What was the original sin? The secret of our business. The secret of our business is the relationships that we forge. You want to make sure your customer's happy, your client's happy.
Right.
If your client's happy, you did the job right. This should be seamless. They need to go to work. They need to do what they're going to do. What are they going to do if they got a glitch in their title? What are they going to do to clear this up? They're going to take off of work. They're going to lose. I saved $4,000 or I saved $5,000. What if I got you an extra $15 for the house? It didn't cost you nothing.
Right.
That's what normally we can get a seller more money and get paid than they could have done themselves, and they didn't have to worry about anything. Just show up at the closing. Here it is. Make sure you're moved out, or make sure here's your occupancy. Here's your 30 days. Here your water bill's paid. We order the water read. We do this. All the little steps with the guy that's working at GM or the guy that's in the doctor's office. I mean, it's funny. Why do lawyers hire me? Why don't they do it themselves? Lawyers hire me.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Doctors need doctors. Lawyers need
doctors.
Lawyers.
Need doctors. And lawyers hire lawyers to represent them. Lawyers don't represent themselves in a court. Right. And I don't feel that sellers should listen. I wouldn't sell my house by owner. I would use the multiple listing service, expose it to the most people, pay somebody to bring me a buyer.
Yeah.
And now the lawsuit with the NRA, the NAR, National Association of Realtors, and the Department of Justice. They're saying that you have to start disclosing the buyer's agent's commissions, which is fine, but which means the seller doesn't have to pay commission to the buyer's agent. So how's that going to affect us? Think about it. You sell a house, you want top dollar for it, but then the buyer's agent has to get paid by the buyer. Well, if the buyer's paying top dollar, what chances of him having extra money to pay the buyer's agent is that going to affect? There's some real big things going on right now. And probably in the next 2 years, you're going to see it.
Sal, in this market, it's funny because, yes, you could put a sign in your house and sell a house. I don't think selling the house is the hard part. Would you agree with that, Sal? I mean, the paperwork and how many for sale by owners have we done?
Getting an offer is easy, right?
Yes.
Structuring a deal that protects everyone could potentially be hard, right?
Yep.
You could offer anything, right? I could offer a seller, X amount with this, with no protections or whatever. And then essentially, the seller literally just wasted 30 days of time on a deal that, an agent would have said, hey, that shit would never close.
I wrote a book. I wrote a book on how to sell your house yourself. It's a long book. It's, secrets to selling your home by yourself, basically.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, listen, if people read the book, right? Or have
if they read the book, they're going to get
Yeah.
scared. If they read the book, they're going to realize, holy shit, this is a lot of stuff that I got to do.
It's
not
basically
worth the $6,000.
It's not worth it,
like,
dude.
Just because, again, like you said, you'll probably guarantee that $6,000.
I say without a doubt. That's why when I see people, it's like, okay, I advertise to people that are for sale by owners, and right now, a lot of people, if you're worried about this small percentage that we get paid, then you're in the wrong situation in the first place. It's like it's like
Some
trying to
people
sell. When you look at the big picture, it's so small.
It's penny wise,
So
pound
small.
foolish. There's so many people that, especially with us too, it's like the credit. This company said the credit report's $50, and yours says it's 55. I'm like, okay,
Right,
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. I'll give you $5. I'll give you a Starbucks, dude.
no, I'm just like, then go with them. If
Yeah.
$5 means the world to you, then it might
You're
be
dealing with
in
the
the
wrong
end. It's the
person
same.
in the first place.
But Tony, what do you say to the client how do you find a good agent, right? How do you find a good loan officer, right? What ends up happening is people will find Antilli or talk to their friend, and they get referred over to some guy, and then they got their mortgage guy, and they end up doing this deal. How do consumers find the right agent in this market?
You know what? It's who's out. I guess it's who's it's the old McDonald's theory. Is McDonald's good food?
Is it good?
It's
It's good
good.
shit.
It's good.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Is McDonald's the best food?
Yeah, the best
No,
burgers.
it's definitely not.
It's not
Best
the
French
best.
fries. Best French
They
fries.
do, they do have the best Cokes.
Yeah.
Best known beats best. Best known beats best.
Yeah, I understand that, but from a consumer standpoint, there's a lot of good agents like yourself. Well, you're well known, but there's a lot of good agents that aren't well known, right? And there's a lot of people know that aren't good agents.
That's correct. And
So
we can see
how do
the
you-
advertising
how-
dollars that are spent on not good agents that do a lot of business.
Yeah. So how the fuck does a person find a good agent?
Look at the reviews. Word of mouth is always better than than an ad. Word of mouth is always better than an ad. But look at the reviews, see the transactions. Do they know what they're talking about? Do they go out and put themselves out there? I'm out there. I'm on a podcast. Here, let me help you. What can I do for you? Like the guy that I've been working with him for 8 months to get rid of this guy out of his house. And then he brought me a bottle of vodka and he says, thanks for helping me, but I'm not selling the house now. Well, it's okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
Because I'm an agent that believes in the relationship. Okay. Had another guy.
Yeah.
Guy's son is losing his house. He needs to help him. Okay. I said, well, I'm glad you called me at 5.5 months into redemption. I got 2 weeks to get this thing saved. You got the cash? Yes. All right. Pull the cash out. I got all this stuff. I got all the deed done. I got him set. I saved your son's house. How much did I charge him? Nothing. Not a thing. Closed on the house in the dad's name. The dad saved him. 11 months later, the dad calls me. And you know what he says? My son's moving to Louisiana. We need to sell the house. We want you to sell the house. So at the end of the day, us as real estate agents need to be advocates for our clients. We need to help and worry about not what we do in a detail of a deal, but we need to worry about what we do in the wholesale of the deal. Not everything we do is going to be transactional based. Okay?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
How many times do you call me and say, Tony, can you help me with this? Tony, can you help me with that?
All the time. Because
Right. We talked about this yesterday prior to this call. You're not worried about a deal.
No.
I'm not worried about a deal. I'm worried about doing what I do the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look at some of these other agents that screw over a client.
Well, they're transactional. They're just transactional. There's a big difference.
Look, there's more bodies out there. There's more bodies out there.
Mortgages are like
Behind
that
them-
too.
Behind
Mortgages
them,
are like
there's a
that too, yeah.
cemetery. I don't want a cemetery behind me. I like what I do. I love what I do.
So let me ask.
That.
Yeah, stop yelling at me. So
Okay.
let me ask you a question. So, what are like 3 questions a seller or someone interviewing a real estate agent should be asking their agents that could weed out potentially having a bad experience with an agent that tells them all the right things? Like, what are like some questions they can ask?
That's assuming people
ones.
are interviewing agents.
They should be interviewing agents.
Yeah,
Like they
that's
should.
a
They
big
do
assumption.
everything. That is true, Brad. You're right. But let's say you interview one. What are like 3 questions, Tony, that they should be asking?
Well, first of all, number one, when they think they're interviewing you, I'm also interviewing them. Because if we don't have that,
Tony, that's not the question.
That
wasn't a question.
But that's my point. We're doing it has to be both. It has to be both ways.
I get that, but some agents aren't thinking that way, right? You're not the agent they're talking to. So I'm sitting here with Aunt Tilly, and she wants to sell my house. What should I ask her?
One of the things is, what's your listing to sales closing ratio?
100%.
Because that's probably one of the
2 of them.
biggest
I only
ones.
did 2. I only did 2 transactions.
Let's not go there. Got another client, didn't list with me, was complaining that his agent wasn't doing the job. Then he came back to me, and the funny part about it was she posted, my greatest year. She closed 2 deals that year. One of them was his, and it was the majority of money. And it's like, are you serious?
So would you say that how many transactions have you closed in the last year would be a good question?
I don't think transactional based is really a lot to do with it, because I beat everybody at $7,000. You know, how many people are going to beat me? There are very few. Okay. Mm-hmm. In my career, 7,000 transactions. It's a lot of transactions. Now, we did $1 billion in real estate, but if you go to California,
that doesn't mean as much. Yeah.
Real estate in a year. We can't do 100 million in real estate in Michigan unless you're the guy that sells Bloomfield Hills and that's it. And I sold, $100 million homes, which is very rare. There's a lot of people that do it, but at the end of the day, where's our number? Where's our price? That to me, that's probably the biggest question. How long have you been doing it? Do you do it all by yourself? Do you have a team? Do you have people that help you? Because you can't do everything by yourself. Because if you're hot, here's the thing. If you get on an airplane and the pilot comes out in the middle of the flight and says, chips, peanuts, pretzels, you got a problem. Okay? You need somebody that has a team, just like you do. Here you guys are. Everyone has their job over there, and you work effectively. You can't be a single agent and work effectively.
So
not have a career out of it.
So would another question be like, what does your team look like?
Yes, I think that's a great one, because hey, so-and-so is going to call you. We'll get you onboarded. We'll get you in, and we'll take care of that. Someone else is going to be out here to put a sign in the ground. I got a photographer coming out to take pictures. And then our processor, here's our processor. She'll be taking care of this for you.
So maybe the question is, what is your process, right? Like, what does it look like for you to sell a house? Are you just going to put a sign in, or what are you going to do to market it, right?
That's the third question. What do you do for marketing?
Yes. And I was just about to say, is a bad question to ask, how much are you going to get for my house?
No.
Because don't agents buy listings sometimes just by telling them a higher number?
Yes, they do. And that's the pathetic agent, because then they sit there and wait and wait and wait. Want another example? Of course, I got a story for that. So my wife and I were going to buy this house. It's on the lake. It's listed for $999. And we knew it wasn't worth $999. We walked through the house. It needed all this work. We offered $8.25. No, and $8.25 and commission. The agent comes back, says $865, no commission. So basically you're saying $900,000. Well, that's not going to work. So after the course of a few months, we made 3 or 4 offers, always the same offer. And we said no. And the agent said, why don't you just chump up and buy the house for your wife and don't be stupid. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Not at all.
Right.
2.5 years later, he sells the house himself. No discount on the commission, $725,000. So I thought I was extremely fair. But in the meantime, somebody's got this mentality in their head, what it's worth, because somebody lied to them and took the listing at $1 million. You've got to be realistic with your buyers or your sellers. You've got to tell them the truth. And sometimes it's better to come in second with the truth
than bullshit and get the deal, right?
I spend about $1,800 on a listing. I don't care if it's a $13,000 listing or $1 million listing. I spend about $1,800 to list a house. That's roughly my cost, $1,850, $1,800. People don't realize that. So on a $100,000 house, I'm really not making any money. And on a house that's lower, I'm really not making any money.
Right.
Okay. So you have to cost average everything in play. And once you do that and you realize that ain't going to work that way, man.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work that way.
Right.
It's better to walk away than waste money on an advertising listing something that's not going to work. Yeah, you might be able to grab a deal here from a buyer. And I get it. You want your sign in the ground right on Jefferson or on 10 Mile. You want to be exposed to a lot of people. And that does have its advantages. But why list something and waste somebody's time and play games just to come in when people start coming in low balls? It's like, this is what I told you. Now there's a animosity between the agent and the seller, and that's not what you want.
Right. All right. Which we're running out of time, so we're going to get into 3 questions, sir. You ready for that?
Oh, I hate this. Go ahead.
Why? This is the best.
Because I don't know what they are.
Yeah. All right. First question: if you could be,
we don't know what they are either.
Yeah, we don't know what they are either. If you could be a fly on the wall in any major historical event, past or present, what would it be and why?
Oh my God.
You want to go back to God? You think Jesus? Is that what we're talking?
No. That's a hard question because the first thing that came to my mind was the Lincoln assassination.
There you go. That's probably what you want to do. You want to be there. You want to be the assassin?
No, I don't want to be there. I want to be the fly that bites the guy so that he doesn't get killed.
What would that do to the course of history if he doesn't get killed?
I think it would do a lot because Lincoln wasn't a very well liked president until after he got out of office, after he died, and then it took years before he was revered as as good of a president as he was. So
many people aren't appreciated until they're dead. So correct. I've thought about offing myself to be appreciated.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
So next, you guys got a question for Tony, Brad, Sal? How easy has this interview been? He just talks. It's perfect. He just asks him a question.
I really have to remember next time Tony's on to bring a bag of popcorn because
dude,
story time, man.
He's like, okay, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you, I got a story for that. Well, when you close 8,000 or 7,000 transactions, whatever it is, right, Tony, you have a story for pretty much everything, right?
I will tell you this, okay? People remember stories; they don't remember facts.
Facts are all made up.
What?
I'm sorry, nothing. I'm just talking. Yeah, but you're right.
Stories.
Yeah, they assimilate to them.
It brings light. So for you guys, tell the story. Stories paint a picture where people can relate to. The whole idea is relating to the client you have, and the majority of my clients become my friends.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a true statement. All right.
If you had to do something else other than real estate, what would you do? If tomorrow they said it's illegal to sell real estate.
Motivational speaking, which I'm going to be doing anyways. I'm working on that right now.
What are you going to motivate people to do?
Think better of themselves, be better, perform at levels that we're not able to perform at, maybe enlighten them a little bit with some knowledge.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Right. Yeah, Mitch is our new guy. Look at that. Look at that picture,
Mitch
guys.
Mitch going to call me today, right, Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch is going to call you today. Last question. I think we've had 2. Let's see here. Have you done the one where let's do this one. If you could live a week in somebody else's body, who would it be and why? Past or present?
God, these aren't even real estate related.
No. I want to know about you, Tony.
I would like to live in Grant Cardone's body for a week.
Okay. Why?
His energy, his genius. I don't know if you guys are watching Undercover Billionaire at all on Discovery.
I gotta watch it, dude. I heard it's unbelievable. Dude.
Unbelievable.
You guys understand the theory of this? Do you guys understand the theory of the show? So basically, they give all these really successful people no money, and they have how long, Tony? $100. They give them $100, and they have 1 year to make it into $1 million.
90 days and turn it into $1 million business.
They have 90 days to take $100 and turn it into $1 million, and you watch them. And it's a contest, and Grant Cardone's on it.
But you go in, nobody knows who you are. You go in as a different person because they can't use their contacts or anything. So you get $100, a broken down truck, and a cell phone with no names in it, and they drop you off. They dropped Grant Cardone off in Pueblo, Colorado. They dropped Glenn Stearns. He owns a big mortgage company. Dropped him off in his private jet in Erie, Pennsylvania. You know, he didn't make it. He made it to $750,000. He started a brewery, a pub house. But Grant Cardone, it's only third week in. It's Wednesday nights at 8:00. And I'll tell you this, the mentality is the key. We can't do anything alone, and stop thinking you can do things alone. Because the first asset is a team of people.
What's that, Sal?
I mean, someone's got to be like, that's Grant Cardone.
No, dude, he was bald, glasses.
All right, so they
balded him out?
They do him up. Okay.
Dude, you didn't know it was him unless you knew his voice.
I want to see. But not everybody knows his voice. I want to see that. That's amazing.
I think you will be blown away, and I think it will give you guys a lot of ideas to where to come back, and it's the relationship building, which we do automatically. It's just who we are.
Yeah, it's it's. Go ahead, Brad.
How does the effect of having a camera crew around affect some of the decisions of the people he's interacting with, right?
Well, you got to hear the story. Every time it's a different story. We've got a camera crew showing an entrepreneur or a guy that's leaving another area. Like Grant's story is, I'm leaving Los Angeles. I want to get my family out of there. I can't stand it. I can't take it. I love the opportunity here in Pueblo. And he goes in and he meets a guy. Believe it or not, he starts sleeping in a freaking trailer. The guy lets him sleep in one of his campers. He's a camper dealer, and the place was for sale. So he goes over there and he says, I can try to help you get some business, do this. I'm down on my luck. I left my wallet. I left everything in LA, and I got to get my kids and family out here. And the guy, he's a likable guy. So he built a relationship with the guy. The guy lets him live in a trailer. So then he gets up every morning and he goes looking for this or looking for that. Or, hey, who do you got that I can meet? Where can I? And it's all about meeting people and what the people around you can do, which brings more value to the thing. You are who you surround yourself with.
Anybody that's in our business.
I'm saying that if some random guy came up to me, right, and he's got a camera crew behind him saying, "Hey, we're making the show. I'm down on my luck."
Yeah, but you still
I'm gonna be more inclined to help this guy.
Fucking hire a crew and have him follow you and make $1 million in 90 days. Then, if that's how much, I'll hire you a crew.
Let me tell you something.
I'll hire you a crew.
Hire a crew and have them follow you around. Because let me tell you something.
I can do it.
No, that's what I say.
But I am saying that there's definitely some outside influence.
You're going to use it, yes, but you're still not going to make $1 million.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I'm not fucking.
No, not $1 million, $1 million business. And Grant said, "F you, I'm going to do a $10 million business."
Well, we'll see about that.
I'm just telling you. 100. You guys got to see it. It's unbelievable.
All right, Tony, we get it. You're like a commercial for the fucking show. We get it.
No, it's not that I'm trying to do a commercial for it, but you guys, I think we all seem to be in the same type of entrepreneurial spirit. Listen, we like, we love this kind of stuff. This challenges. It's like,
I'm going to watch the show and look at the credits and see if Tony Raffin's in the credits.
Tony's actually the one funding the whole thing.
The producer.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, networking is the most underrated part of sales. People don't understand it. They think they got to get someone on the phone. They got to hammer them on the phone. They got to close. But what gets missed.
How are you going to get people on the phone?
Right. You got to get a network. You got to get a network.
Unless you work at like a giant lead factory, which doesn't actually get you any business.
It doesn't get you in longevity. It's just a Band-Aid. Leads are Band-Aid.
Of a network. My podcast is coming back up here in the next couple of weeks. Fix it and flip it. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Are we excited?
Yes. Who's your first guest?
I don't know yet. I'm tossing them up. I got a couple people from the West Coast and a couple people from the East Coast.
Am I invited?
You're always invited, dude. I love when you're on. We just seem to get that, But I will tell you, last night I was on Clubhouse, And Grant Cardone said, just ask me anything and I'll do it. If I can do it, I'll do it. And he was going on. So I'm going to try to get Grant. Grant's my number one guy I want on my podcast because as far as investors are concerned, he gets it.
Hey, I asked Grant to be on this podcast maybe 2 years ago, and he did respond to me and said, not right now. He actually
got to get on the Clubhouse.
I know.
Follow him. And when he does his 10X workshop once a week, I think it's every Tuesday night. Dude, there's like 1,500 people on there last night, and he talked to 500 people. You get like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and he's like, yep, no problem. I'll take care of it. You want an autographed book? Give me your book. Send it to me. I'll sign front page, back page, and it's like he's interacting with his audience. And what people
How
do you think his goal is to talk to freaking 7 million people or 100 million people? And the thing is, if you're talking about him, good or bad, and that's the hard part because I don't like the bad. I mean, think about it. I could never be president. My God, what Donald Trump went through the last 4 years, 5 years. Is
every president looks like shit when they leave the office compared to when they went in. Every single one of them. Yes. I mean, I don't think Biden. God bless him. If he goes 2 terms, he's not making it.
He can't go 2 terms. He'll be too old. But number one, he won't make the first term. He's already got dementia. We know that.
All right, Tony. All right. We're not doctors. We're not doctors. We don't know if he's got dementia. He might.
You're right. The only way to tell dementia is through an autopsy. So we'll have to wait another year. You know what? I don't like to see that of anybody, but it is what it is, and he's our president. That's it. What time? In 8 minutes, he'll be our president.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming up right now to talk. So that's the end of the show, guys. And let's end it on that. Tony, thank you. So tell the audience how they can get a hold of you, Tony.
www.talktotony.com. My podcast, Fix It and Flip It. Best ways, or the office, 586-773-4400. If you got any questions, I don't care. I'm not looking to sell you something.
He's an open book.
I'll help you out with whatever I can.
He is.
And if you're looking for foreclosures, any distressed properties, I've also got the GDPE, the Graduate Distressed Property Expert course, which I'm teaching real estate agents on how to get foreclosures and deal with the distressed property to balance out your income.
All right, man. You are the shit. I love you. I love it when you're on the show.
I love you guys.
No problem, dude. Thank you so much. For all our listeners, obviously, thank you for listening to this far. Go ahead and go to your podcast app, like, share, subscribe, IREpodcast.com, Facebook/IRE Podcast. We're also on YouTube. We're on all that shit. So find us, like us, smash that like button, and ring the notification bell. Ding, 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 ding. Have a good day, guys. We'll see you next week. Next week, we got the Angel Brothers. It's going to be a good one. Talk to you guys soon.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Bye.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.